We're living in an interesting era in manufacturing. While we may benefit as consumers by having easy access to products produced from every corner of the globe, more and more domestic manufacturers are facing severe competition from companies around the world. Competition is fierce. All manufacturing companies are facing new challenges in defending or regaining their competitive edge every day. Questions are raised in the mass media.
If they see it, they should be able to find out so many waste in their factory. And waste in terms of people moving things twice, 3 times, and 4 times, counting inventories. And what are the real things adding value to the product? And if we can simply eliminate the waste.
New theories are taught at universities.
In my view, this kind of organization where the coordination, the linkage mechanism is more developed, and organizations are not just the accumulation of different parts, but rather you have linkages, more of a biologic linkages developed among their group.
Many seminars are held across the nation, and more magazines and books are published. But questions still remain. Are we meeting today's competitive challenges? In this video course, we tried to answer this question by looking into the fundamentals of manufacturing activities, studying the available techniques, and seeing how different companies are facing these new challenges in order to win the competition. More than 20 companies are represented from the United States and Japan. More than 100 people have contributed by sharing their experiences and ideas.
The major problem that U.S. firms face today is that we lived through a make-believe period from the end of World War II in 1946 until the OPEC oil shock hit us in 1973. You couldn't have fouled up a major American company if you tried. And unfortunately, like baseball teams, basketball teams, or football teams, we got fat, dumb, and happy during that period where there weren't any other competitors on the field.
The days when you could be in an industry that didn't have a lot of competition or was protected in some way, I think those days are gone. We don't have the ability and the luxury of sitting back and just on a continuing basis making large profits without much effort and work. There's a lot of competition out there, and if you're going to survive, you really have to continue to get better and better all the time. And the ideas that we've learned of, primarily from the Japanese, are ideas that we have been aware of. They're things that make sense, but we may not have had the competitive urge to do them because we were making profit. We were successful as a nation, and now we don't have that luxury anymore.
What you're looking at right now is one of the choices we have to make as manufacturers in the United States. The building that you just saw and that you're looking at now was the manufacturing location in California for a world-known manufacturer of earth-moving equipment. I worked in this facility, and I worked for this company for 15 years. In this facility, there were 2,000 men and women. This parking lot that's virtually empty now was filled with the cars of working men and women in the United States. Today, what the building is becoming is a shopping mall. We built products here for the world to use in rebuilding and in base projects throughout the world. What we're going to end up with is a distribution point for foreign-made products. I don't know how much longer we can continue doing that. If I could only take you back for a minute to listen to what it sounded like in the building when we were making something rather than just buying things. The shop was filled with America's best made equipment. We had Acme Gridley, Brown & Sharp, Cincinnati, Warner Swayze. They were all in there, and they worked on a 24-hour basis. If I reflect back on the times I spent here and the job we did, we felt we were making a contribution. There were people that worked for this company and this community whose fathers and grandfathers worked for the same firm, and we're very proud to be part of the workforce of this company. They're gone now to various other jobs, doing other things. Hopefully, what they're doing is a continuation of the manufacturing process, that they're making something that we can sell to other countries and we can continue to grow as a nation. If not, it's a real question to me is how many more shopping centers can we build out of old manufacturing companies?
Hello, I'm Kathy O'Brien for the Society of Manufacturing Engineers. We're in the studio talking with Kiyoshi Suzaki, author, lecturer, and consultant on the subject of continuous improvement in manufacturing. Kiyo, I know you have written books and consulted with companies around the world. Now you're going to be sharing your experiences and findings with us for this video. What made you decide to do this?
In this day and age, I think sharing information is the key for anyone to be current on any subject. Because of my background in working with many companies from around the world, I thought I could contribute by sharing my experiences and the experiences of the many people I have met with those I haven't had a chance to meet.
Can you summarize in a few sentences the message you're trying to convey?
The key message is sharing fundamental techniques on what you might call a philosophy of manufacturing. By applying what I call user-friendly techniques, we can upgrade every person's potential, which in turn benefit the company and actually society as a whole.
You feel that the people you've met or worked with have received and understood this message?
Yes, I think so. I hope those watching these tapes will find the techniques we cover in this course intriguing. But more importantly, I hope they'll find the people aspect the most appealing.
In session 1, we will look for wastes in our factory and think of ways to eliminate them. Whether we make automobiles, TVs, cosmetics, or semiconductors, we need to ask how many of these activities are absolutely necessary for our production, or how many of these activities are adding value to the products rather than cost, or how many of these activities would the customer care about. As we study more, we'll find that there are many wastes in our factory.
We've been working on the 7 deadly waste up here. And every one of those 7 deadly waste, and we added one of our own, not utilizing the talents of your people. And that's number 8. Every one of those 8 items exist in this plant. And I can tell you we've made improvements in every one of those 8 items, and we've got a long way to go.
Our basic philosophy is the total elimination of waste, which we depict with a little photograph showing a hunter killing the waste bird. When I say eliminate, I mean eliminate the wasted operations that they were previously doing. The walking to receive parts as opposed to having them delivered. The elimination of picking up a part and putting it down, and then having to re-pick it up to reposition it.
In session 2, we will go back to the basics and study the importance of housekeeping and workplace organization. A company called Inducto Heat in Detroit has a lot to tell about housekeeping and workplace organization. The company produces a line of induction heating equipment.
And some of the improvements that we have made here in the way of house cleaning are mainly to make it easy for all the people to clean up, try to put all the materials that they need close at hand, and we allow 10 minutes or so at the end of each day for everyone to clean up. Cleaning up has been a big help to us because by having a clean floor, you can see excess material that's left laying around or anything that shouldn't be there as waste. We have built these mobile work tables, which we can carry our tools to right to the job site. These tables have some of the tools that our assemblers would not normally supply, such as a torch, vices, drill press, have clamps, pipe wrenches, the welder. And by bringing these to the job site, the individual doesn't have to carry parts away to a remote work center. This speeds up our assembly time, and each of our tools are color-coded with the tables so they can be returned to the proper location at the end of the shift.
Before, people were not able to easily identify what stage of development a job was in. Thus, a scheduling board was installed. Now, any person can look at the board and see the status of a job. This eliminated much confusion, as well as disruptions to the other workers.
So we started with some of the basic elements of improving our conditions here with the just-in-time philosophy of communicating better with the people, bringing the people into the decision-making process, having the people make recommendations to us. And little by little, we found that productivity was increasing.
In Session 3, we will see what we can do to meet the diversifying needs of customers in a short lead time. Clearly, we need to cut lead time from the consumer order to product delivery by reducing the production lead time. The challenge for us, then, is to reduce setup time and decrease production batch sizes. We also need to reduce inventory levels in our production and transportation systems in order to reduce the risk of carrying unneeded inventories. The benefits of quick setup and small lot production are many, but the major ones are reduction of production lead time, so the company can respond to customer needs very quickly without much inventory. Reduction of work-in-process inventory, so that problems are more visible. Reduction of defects by early detection, which corresponds to lower inventory levels. And reduction of miscommunication, promoting better communication across the plant.
We basically identified 3 areas that needed enhancement. One was to be able to deliver material, components to the station more effectively and quickly, be able to mount the boards in the workboard holders quickly, to change out the workboard holders, and also being able to download the program information. This basically has been achieved, and the difference in the before and after situation was the changeover time before was probably of the order of 1.5 hours down to about 5 to 10 minute range.
We were able to reduce our inventory levels by about 70% over that of 1981. Our productivity has increased about 45%, and our in-yard inventory has been reduced by over 70%.
In Session 4, we will look into layout and process improvement in order to establish the streamlined flow in the factory. When describing layouts, there are 2 major types. A process-oriented layout is one where machines are located according to their function, whereas a product-oriented layout is one where machines are laid out according to the flow of materials. Not surprisingly, a product-oriented layout is much more suitable for achieving flow production. As we develop the product-oriented layout to achieve flow production, the material transfer between different processes becomes much easier. Also, production lead times and inventories accumulated between the processes will be reduced significantly. This is an example of semiconductor fabrication. The need for this 3rd clean room was eliminated by simply rearranging the machines, integrating the 3 rooms into 2, thus helping smooth material flow.
The results have been quite dramatic. The racks are empty, the material is moving, the amount of material we needed in the line has been reduced by a factor of 2. This reduction has allowed us to increase our capacity to have an empty room, a room where we could bring in new equipment for other new things that we want to do in our technology.
In Session 5, we will study different tools which function as a nervous system in the factory and allow us to quickly respond when something starts to go wrong. To do this effectively, there are several techniques that we can use in developing an effective nervous system. They are Andon, poka-yoke, and visual control. Andon means lantern in Japanese. Just as a lantern may guide people walking in the dark, an Andon light helps expose abnormal conditions in the factory. In other words, the Andon, or trouble light, will help abnormal conditions become obvious enough to catch people's attention. Another example of this reflexive muscle system is called poka-yoke. Poka-yoke is a Japanese word that translates as foolproof or fail-safe mechanism. Poka-yoke helps make the operator's work easier, and at the same time, it eliminates the troubles associated with defects, safety, and mistakes in operation without requiring any undue attention of the operators.
It is nice to relax in an office, but it's much more important to be out there on that work floor and manage by seeing the visual evidence of the operation. Visual control is one of the best tools that I've found in Toyota production system.
In Session 6, we will address the necessary skills for problem solving, especially in the areas of quality and machine maintenance. In principle, we should all agree that quality must be addressed at the source and by those who are closest to the problems.
The Quality Circle program has been an excellent method for operators, lead men, and supervisors to be involved with the problem solving itself. After all, the people on the shop floor are much more familiar with the actual problems than management or people in the engineering group. Tapping that resource has been an excellent method for making improvements at TABC.
As our factory becomes more streamlined and inventory levels are reduced, we may still need to address problems associated with machine maintenance. Experience shows that most machine problems are not solved in the office. We need to spend our time on the shop floor, facing the problem directly.
We've begun this program in earnest by 4 or 5 months ago, and we've turned around some employees. I don't think we've got them all yet, and we may never get them all. But if you can take a department of 20 or 30 people and get even 10 or 15 of them to think and want to make things better and contribute, that's a heck of a lot better than having none of them contribute and none of them think for you.
In Session 7, we will learn ways to link processes together and study approaches for continuously improving our work using standards. This requires developing a just-in-time information and control system where all necessary information arrives on time at the place where action is to be taken. Kanban, which means display card in Japanese, is one such production control tool.
Nobody tells the press shop what to do. It's just a continuous flow. As the tickets come back, the press people will start to manufacture those parts. Also, by looking at the Kanban board, we can see that in this case, very quickly they will begin to run. In this case, also very soon they will start production. In this case, either the parts were just made or they're getting ready to be made. So the visual control is very good.
In Session 8, we'll study the new role of transportation in developing a streamlined flow of materials. Let's compare some conventional and innovative approaches to transportation with this illustration. First, the conventional approach. This represents large lot, infrequent transportation. The results are slow feedback of information, an accumulation of inventory, and additional problems impacting quality and increased expediting work. In Session 9, we will evaluate the role of suppliers and think about ways to develop a goal congruence between manufacturers and suppliers.
The partnerships that were established years ago are becoming closer and closer type partnerships. As a matter of fact, as pointed out previously, they're becoming suppliers are becoming extensions of the shop floor. We're seeing things in the future like vertical alliances and things of that nature as becoming very, very important to our business, where the supplier and the customer the destinies of those two are actually interwoven. The implications of this to the American manufacturer in order to compete, say, with a Far Eastern or a Japanese manufacturer is they have to begin to do things differently than they've done in the past. Adversarial relationships between customers and suppliers will no longer get it. not sharing information, not being open with the supplier will no longer be of benefit to anyone in the future. In other words, it won't afford you a competitive advantage to conduct business in that manner.
The net result of the improvements made in our building and the improvements that have also been passed on to us from our suppliers has allowed us to prevent any increases from being passed on to our ultimate consumer. We have been able to maintain the cost delivered price of our product for the last 5 years, even though material cost increases have occurred.
In the final session 10, we will reach the last and perhaps the most important benefits of running an excellent manufacturing operation, and that is people. How people and techniques are tied together to improve operations continuously.
When I first heard that phrase, continual improvement, I thought that only meant something having to do with quality. But the more more understanding, reflect on that a little bit more, we find out that continual improvement means everything that we do, whether it's housekeeping, whether it's individual, improving our knowledge levels, our skill levels.
People are very positive here. They don't think about why you can't do it. They create ways to do things, things that you didn't think you could do before. And it's just a real fun experience to be part of this kind of team. There's no class orientation here. People on the line are just as productive as the top management here and are just as well respected, if not more so. They're the people that are doing it day in and day out, and they know the right way to do things.
I was an operator myself for years, and I always felt that, gee, there's some things that I could help with and some things that I could recommend that might make it easier and better and simplify my job and make the product better for the company. But too often we don't have the opportunity to suggest things as operators. And one of the best things that we've learned about the goal for and the pursuit of excellence is that as you get people involved, they'll respond. They'll come back with good ideas.
You can find the people wanting to become part of this program because it makes them feel like winners.
Improvements are in a way like inventions. If we are motivated and persistent enough to believe that we can accomplish something, then we will realize our dream. History has proven this over and over. It is a challenge to established structures, assumptions, old systems, and habits. It is having an imagination for the future and optimistic thinking that will keep us moving forward. In the 1920s, Henry Ford said, "Thinking always ahead, thinking always of trying to do more, brings a state of mind in which nothing is impossible. The moment one gets into the expert state of mind, a great number of things become impossible." In the 1970s, Taiichi Ono said, "By actually trying, various problems became known. As such problems became gradually clear, they taught me the direction of the next move." As these words describe, it is the humbleness and challenging spirit of all the people which helped us to move forward. We must never stop questioning, never stop challenging, and we should develop an attitude for continuous improvement and act upon it.
We've had a lot of progress. They're not really good enough. We're continuing. It's not time to sit back and say we have it made, nor is it time for American industry to sit back and say we can't compete. We can compete. It's an ongoing need to compete, and the capabilities are there. With good manufacturing processes continually improved, with good supplier processes continually improved, there's absolutely no reason why this country can't be a leading manufacturing competitor in the world.
And we've got to obsessively, which is the right word, I think, as a nation, focus on the basic strengths of the product quality wins and responsiveness wins with it, and that's it. You get with that program or you go out of business. And the important point is that it is as much of a problem in Silicon Valley as it is in the world of Detroit. The answer is that we can win if we get serious about it and don't let all of the subcomponent manufacturing drift offshore and all of the high value added jobs drift offshore. And that's my terror, because I see that happening as much in Silicon Valley as I do in the state of Michigan. We can win if we get totally focused now, not next year, not next month even, but now, because with every passing day, there are 4 new subcomponent factories moving into Michigan, and semiconductor production drifts offshore, and so we are still losing, and in fact, the pace of losing, in my opinion, continues to accelerate. We have not yet turned the corner. As a nation, we have not yet taken this issue seriously enough. But we can win if in very short order we say, this is it, this is the priority, this is what we have to do if we want to do anything other than peddle pizzas as a nation of a 250 million people.